Paul George extended by the Clippers for 5 years. 4 years, I believe, but it was extended 4 years. It's a 5-year deal, though, total. $226 million over the next 5 years. Did he deserve this contract, this extension, after Playoff P made his arrival to Los Angeles last season? No. $226 million for 5 years. That's like Mahomes got like what, $500 million for 10 years? Like that's an MLB contract. That's baseball. Like that was Mahomes, but he got them a championship in like his second year with them, like as the starting quarterback after being MVP. And I know I'm not comparing. It's a different contract. I know, but like $226 million for 5 years, and you're not even the best player on your team. Not even the best player on your team, and you're getting that kind of money after hitting the side of the backboard in Game 7, crunch time. I mean, y'all were up like 20 points, up 3-1, up like 18, 20 points, and then y'all blew that point lead, and then blew the rest of the series as well. And now you get $226 million. You got to prove something. You better, I mean, if you're Paul George, you have a lot to prove this season, or you're probably going to get traded because they don't want to keep that contract. And you know what? I know someone that just might take that contract. The Knicks. They're desperate for superstars. They always want a superstar. They always say they're going to try to get a superstar. So if the Clippers are like, we'll trade you, just give us a couple young players, some good, solid players that don't have massive contracts, the Knicks will probably bite on that. If they're able to, if they can make it work, they'll give us some contracts. Then they might just do that if they have to, because the Knicks always want a superstar, and that's a huge contract. But did he deserve it after that performance against the Nuggets? I don't think so. I mean, like I said, he's not even the best player on his team. Kawhi's the best player on his team. And what you should really be doing is using that money to get other players, like keeping Montrez, instead of letting him go, actually not even down the street, in the same arena, going to the different locker room and putting on a different uniform, coming back out on the same court, though, and playing for the other team. In fact, the championship team that you already had to deal with. So, like, did he deserve the contract? He can prove it. And Paul George is he's a superstar still. And he still got to play. I'm not knocking Paul George and saying, oh, he's bad because of the playoff performance. Like, I still think he's a superstar player for sure. He has the potential to be MVP candidate. I don't think he will be because he's on Kawhi's team. So he's not like, when he's in OKC or on the Pacers especially. But, like, I don't think he'll be MVP candidate. But I think he has, that talent still. He can still do that. And he did just go back with his trainer, who was his trainer that season when he was in OKC. But he needs to, really show up in the playoffs and in the big games this season for the Clippers. And he actually did show up in big games in the regular season. But the playoffs, we all know what happened in the playoffs. So, I don't know if he deserved that big of a contract. No. I don't think he deserved that big of a contract. That was overpaid for the amount of years they extended him for, and for just doing it like that. I think they just didn't want to risk it. They didn't want to risk that. He decided, you know what? I don't know if we're going to win here. He dips, and all you have is Kawhi and some other players like Lou, who's aging and might leave. And then you're like, well, now we have to rebuild, but it may take some time, and Kawhi's in his prime. He's going to be out of his prime. He's just around prime time right now. You don't want to waste his years. He just won a championship with Toronto. You're trying to get a championship here, because that championship benefits Kawhi. He has that championship, that Finals MVP. He has 2 under his belt. Clippers, though, have 0. They're hoping he'll bring it, one for them. He can get his 3rd. So Clippers really, they can't really afford to lose Paul George in that sense. So that's why they just want to extend him now. But $226 million, I don't know. Hey, if you think, comment down below if you think he deserved it or not. I think it's, it's definitely a little overpaid, in my opinion, a little pricey, but it is what it is. I'm not a Clippers fan. I'm not going to be mad about it. And if they win a championship, then I'm not going to say it was not worth it. Because if you win a championship, at the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. If they win 2 championships with Paul George and Kawhi, then it was definitely worth it. If they win 1, I would say it was worth it because you don't have any championships in the organization. You finally get one. That's all you can ask for. But I still think it's a little overpaid based on this time and what we saw last season. And at his time in the Clippers, he was injured, and then he did that in the playoffs. It's just I don't think he deserved that big of a contract after that performance. But hey, you know what? It is what it is. Paul George got paid. Boardman got paid also. You know, Kawhi obviously got paid back when he signed with them. But so yeah, he said I owe them a trophy. Like, yeah, you owe them a trophy after that. If you can't bring a championship to the team after that, or help Kawhi bring a championship to the team after that, then it just proves that, you know, that was a bad. Although it's not his fault, why would you not sign that? If they offer you that, you can turn down. No, I don't want 226 million to keep playing on the team I want to keep playing on anyway. Like, you know, that's the Clippers, you know, upper management fault. That's not Paul George's fault. But, you know, he still has that now, you know, he has all of that on his shoulders, the responsibility. He has that as the second main man. They're expecting a lot out of him with that contract that shows it. So he does really need to show up and show out these next coming seasons, actually. Not just this next season. This one, he just needs to prove it. But the next coming seasons, the rest of the seasons on the contract, he needs to, you know, really show up and not choke. But that's going to do it. Hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Before I go, make sure to comment below if you think the Clippers will win a championship with Kawhi and Paul George, or with just Kawhi. You know, Paul George, let's say he gets traded, they get a bunch of, like, good players for him. You know, whatever it is. But if you think the Clippers will win a championship with Kawhi, make sure to comment below. But with that being said, see y'all next time. Peace.